Before you step into this day, pause for a moment. Do not rush. Do not move ahead yet, because how you begin this moment will shape everything that follows. There are mornings where everything looks normal on the outside. The routine is the same. The world moves the same way, but inside, something feels different. There is a weight that you cannot fully explain. Not just physical tiredness, but something deeper. A quiet heaviness that sits in your thoughts. A pressure that follows you from one moment to the next. You try to ignore it. You try to move past it, but it stays. And the more you try to push through it, the more you feel it. Because strength is not about pretending that everything is fine. It is about recognizing when you need help and being willing to ask for it. And right now, this is your moment to do that. You are not here by accident. You are here because something inside you is looking for strength. Not temporary strength, not surface-level energy, but real strength. The kind of strength that holds you steady when things feel uncertain. The kind of strength that keeps your mind calm when everything around you feels overwhelming. The kind of strength that does not come from effort, but from something deeper. Because there are things ahead of you today that you cannot fully see. Situations you cannot predict. Moments that may test you. Conversations that may require patience, clarity, and control. And if you try to face all of that with your own strength alone, you will feel the weight of everything. You will feel overwhelmed. You will feel stretched. But that is not how you are meant to begin this day. Because you were never meant to carry everything by yourself. And right now, before anything else begins, you have the opportunity to shift everything. To step out of pressure and step into strength. Not your strength, but the strength that comes from Jesus. And as you begin to open yourself to that, something inside you starts to change. Not instantly, but steadily. Your thoughts begin to slow. Your breathing becomes deeper. And the weight that you were carrying begins to feel lighter. Not because everything is solved, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. And that is where your strength begins. As you stay in this moment, begin to notice what has been happening inside your mind. Because most of the time, you move through your day without stopping. You go from one task to another, one thought to another, one responsibility to the next, and you never really give yourself the space to understand what you are carrying. So everything builds up. Not suddenly, but gradually. A thought here, a concern there, a small pressure that you ignore, until eventually, it becomes something you can feel, even if you cannot fully explain it. And that is where the exhaustion begins. Not just because of what you are doing, but because of what you are holding. You carry expectations. You carry responsibilities. You carry things that are not even in your control, but you still feel responsible for them. And without realizing it, your mind becomes full. Not loud in an obvious way, but crowded. Constantly thinking, constantly analyzing, constantly trying to stay ahead of everything. And that creates pressure. Because when your mind does not have space, it cannot rest. And when it cannot rest, everything feels heavier than it actually is. Even small things begin to feel overwhelming. Even simple moments begin to feel difficult. And you start to feel like you are always trying to keep up. Always trying to hold everything together. Always trying to manage everything at once. And that is exhausting. Because you were never meant to live like that. You were never meant to carry every thought, every worry, every responsibility, all at the same time, on your own. And right now, this is where everything begins to shift. Not because your situation has suddenly changed, but because you are beginning to see it differently. You are beginning to understand that not everything needs your attention, that not every thought deserves your energy, and that not everything that enters your mind is meant to stay. And as you begin to realize that, something inside you starts to settle. The constant movement in your mind begins to slow. The pressure begins to ease, and the space that was missing begins to form. And in that space, you begin to feel something you have been missing. Clarity, calm, and a quiet sense of strength that does not come from trying harder, but from finally letting go and allowing Jesus to take what you cannot carry. And this is where your strength begins to grow from the inside out. As you remain in this moment, something begins to become clearer to you. The weight you have been feeling was never just about what is happening around you. It is about what has been happening inside you. Because when your mind is full, everything feels heavier than it really is. And when your thoughts are constantly moving, even small things begin to feel overwhelming. You start reacting faster. You start thinking deeper than necessary. You start trying to understand everything at once. And without realizing it, you create pressure inside yourself that was never meant to be there. But right now, you are stepping out of that pattern. you are beginning to see things differently. Not everything that feels urgent is important. Not every thought that enters your mind is true. And not everything that feels delayed is meant to happen right now. And that realization changes everything. Because instead of trying to control everything, you begin to release. Instead of forcing outcomes, you begin to trust. And instead of holding on to every thought, you begin to let them pass without following them. And that is where your peace begins to grow. Not because your situation has changed, but because your response has changed. And that is more powerful than you think. Because when your response changes, your entire experience begins to shift. What once felt overwhelming now begins to feel manageable. What once felt heavy now begins to feel lighter. And what once felt confusing begins to make sense slowly, one step at a time. And in this space, you begin to understand something important. You were never meant to figure everything out at once. You were never meant to control every outcome. And you were never meant to carry every burden by yourself. Because there are things in your life that are not meant to be solved by effort, but by surrender. And right now, you are stepping into that surrender. You are allowing yourself to release the need to understand everything. You are allowing yourself to let go of the pressure to fix everything immediately. And you are allowing yourself to trust, even when you do not have all the answers. And that is where something deeper begins to form inside you. A quiet sense of stability, a steady kind of calm that is not dependent on everything being perfect, but on your willingness to let go and trust Jesus with what you cannot control. And as you stay in this awareness, your thoughts continue to slow, your breathing becomes more steady, and your mind begins to settle into a place where strength is no longer something you are trying to create, but something you are starting to receive. And that is where the real shift happens. As this calm continues to settle within you, you begin to notice something that was always there, but you were too overwhelmed to recognize it clearly. You have been holding on to too much, not just situations, but expectations, not just responsibilities, but outcomes. You have been trying to control things that were never fully in your control, trying to predict what will happen, trying to fix what feels broken, trying to make everything work, even when it clearly wasn't moving the way you wanted it to. And without realizing it, that constant effort has been draining you, because control can feel like strength. But when it is overused, it becomes pressure, and that pressure is what has been exhausting you. But right now, you are no longer trying to carry everything the same way. You are beginning to release, not because everything is solved, but because you understand that holding on to everything is not helping you anymore. And this is where surrender begins, not as a sign of weakness, but as a shift in awareness, a decision to stop forcing what is not moving, a decision to stop chasing what is not opening, a decision to stop trying to understand everything all at once. And instead, you begin to let go, slowly, intentionally, without pressure. You release the need to control every outcome. You release the expectation that everything must make sense right now. You release the weight of trying to fix things that are beyond your reach. And as you do that, something inside you begins to change. Your mind starts to feel lighter, your breathing becomes deeper, and the tension that you have been holding begins to dissolve, not all at once, but gradually, in a way that feels natural. And in that space, you begin to feel something you have been missing, relief. A quiet kind of relief that comes from no longer trying to carry everything alone. And that is where your strength actually begins, not in holding everything together, but in knowing when to let go, not in controlling everything, but in trusting that you do not have to. And right now, you are choosing to release what is not yours to carry, and to trust Jesus with everything that is beyond your control. And as you remain in that choice, your mind continues to settle, your body continues to relax, and your strength continues to grow from the inside out. And now, as you remain in this quiet space, this is where you begin to speak, not with pressure, not with perfect words, but with honesty, because prayer is not about saying everything the right way. It is about bringing everything as it is. And right now, this is your moment to do that. Jesus, I come before you exactly as I am, not with everything figured out, not with clear answers, not with complete understanding, but with a heart that feels heavy, a mind that has been overwhelmed, and a spirit that is ready to release what it has been holding for too long. You see everything that I have been carrying. You see the thoughts that keep returning. You see the pressure that I cannot explain. You see the weight that I have been trying to manage on my own. And even when I cannot fully express it, you understand it completely, because nothing is hidden from you. Not my struggles, not my doubts, not the things I try to ignore during the day but feel more strongly when everything becomes quiet. And right now, I am done pretending that I can carry all of this alone. I am done trying to control everything. I am done trying to understand everything all at once. So I release it. I release every expectation that is weighing me down. I release every situation that I cannot control. I release every thought that keeps pulling me into confusion and overthinking. Because I understand now that holding on to everything is not strength. It is weight. And that weight has been exhausting me. So Jesus, I give it to you. Not just the easy parts, but the difficult parts. Not just what I understand, but also what I do not understand. I give you the waiting. I give you the uncertainty. I give you the frustration that has been building inside me, because you see it all, even the things I cannot put into words. And in this moment, I choose to trust you, not because everything makes sense, but because I know you are still in control. Even when nothing around me seems to be working, you are still working. Even when I do not see progress, you are still moving. Even when everything feels still, you are still preparing something beyond what I can see right now. And right now, I stop trying to force everything into place. I stop trying to solve everything at once. I stop trying to carry everything by myself. And I place it all into your hands. And as I do that, something inside me begins to settle. Not because everything has changed, but because I am no longer holding it all alone. And that is where my strength begins. And as you stay in this moment, something deeper begins to form inside you. Not something loud, not something dramatic, but something steady, a quiet awareness that you do not have to carry everything anymore. Because for so long, you believed that if you did not figure things out, nothing would change. You believed that if you did not hold everything together, everything would fall apart. So you kept thinking, you kept trying, you kept pushing yourself, even when you were already tired. And without realizing it, you made yourself responsible for things that were never fully yours to control. And that is where the pressure came from. Not just from your situation, but from the weight of trying to manage everything at once. But right now, that weight is no longer sitting on you the same way. Because something inside you is shifting. You are beginning to understand that control is not the same as peace. And holding everything together is not the same as being strong. Because real strength is knowing when to release what is not yours to carry. And real peace comes when you stop trying to control what only Jesus can handle. And right now, you are stepping into that realization. You are allowing yourself to loosen your grip. You are allowing yourself to stop forcing outcomes. You are allowing yourself to step back and trust that things can move forward, even without your constant effort. And that is not easy, because letting go can feel unfamiliar. It can feel like you are doing less, like you are giving up control, like you are stepping into uncertainty. But in reality, you are stepping into trust, and that changes everything. Because when you trust, you no longer need to see every step clearly. You no longer need to understand every detail. You no longer need to have everything figured out before you move forward. Instead, you allow Jesus to lead. You allow him to guide what you cannot see. You allow him to handle what you cannot control. And as you remain in that space, your mind begins to settle even more. The constant thinking slows down. The need to solve everything fades. And the pressure that once felt overwhelming begins to dissolve, not instantly, but gradually, in a way that feels real. And in that state, you begin to feel something you have been missing, a sense of stability, a grounded kind of calm that is not dependent on everything going perfectly, but on your decision to trust Jesus with everything that is uncertain. And that is where your strength becomes deeper, not temporary, but steady, not forced, but natural. And right now, you are allowing that strength to grow, quietly, from within. As you remain in this calm and steady space, you begin to notice that something inside you is no longer reacting the way it used to. Earlier, every thought felt important. Every concern felt urgent. Every situation felt like something you needed to fix immediately. And that is what created the tension. That is what kept your mind moving without rest. That is what made everything feel heavier than it actually was. But right now, that urgency is fading. You are no longer reacting to every thought that appears. You are no longer chasing every worry that enters your mind. You are no longer trying to solve everything all at once. Instead, you are allowing your thoughts to slow down. You are allowing space to form. And you are allowing yourself to stay present without being pulled into everything that once felt overwhelming. And that is a powerful shift, because when your mind is not controlling you, you begin to feel grounded. When you are not reacting to everything, your emotions begin to settle. And when you are not carrying everything at once, your entire state becomes lighter. And in this space, you begin to understand something deeper. Your thoughts are not commands. They are not instructions. And they do not define your reality unless you choose to follow them. And right now, you are choosing something different. You are choosing to observe instead of react. You are choosing to remain still instead of being pulled in every direction. And you are choosing to allow your mind to rest instead of constantly engaging with everything that appears. And that choice creates freedom because you are no longer trapped in overthinking. You are no longer controlled by every worry. You are no longer pulled away from this moment. And as that continues, your calm becomes more stable. Your breathing remains steady. Your body stays relaxed, without effort. And in that state, you begin to feel something deeper than just the absence of stress. You begin to feel peace, a real kind of peace that does not depend on everything being perfect, but on your willingness to let go and trust Jesus with what you cannot control. And as you remain in that awareness, your connection with Jesus begins to feel more real, not distant, not abstract, but present, a quiet presence that does not rush you, that does not pressure you, and that does not require you to have everything together. And as you stay there, you begin to feel safe, not because everything is solved, but because you are no longer trying to face everything alone. And that is where your strength becomes steady, rooted in trust, and grounded in His presence. As you continue resting in this quiet space, you begin to notice how natural this calm is becoming. At first, it may have felt unfamiliar to slow down like this, to not chase every thought, to not respond to every feeling. But now something has changed. This calm no longer feels forced. It feels steady. It feels real. Because your mind is no longer being pulled in different directions. Your attention is no longer divided. And your focus is no longer scattered across things that never gave you peace. Instead, everything inside you is beginning to align. Your thoughts are quieter. Your emotions are more balanced. And your body is relaxed in a way that feels natural, not forced. And that alignment is what allows your strength to go deeper. Because when your mind and your body are no longer working against each other, your entire system begins to settle. And as you stay in this moment, you begin to notice something else. You are no longer holding on to the same tension you had before. You are no longer carrying the same pressure. And you are no longer reacting to your thoughts in the same way. And that is the shift that has taken place. Not something dramatic, not something loud, but something real, something steady, something that you can return to whenever you need it. And as you remain in this calm, you begin to feel a deeper sense of trust, not forced belief, but a quiet knowing, a knowing that you do not have to go back into that state of overthinking, a knowing that you do not have to pick everything up again, a knowing that you do not have to return to the same patterns that were draining you, because now you understand something that you did not fully see before. You understand how to slow down, you understand how to create space, and you understand how to let go, and that changes how you move forward. Because you are no longer reacting to everything. You are choosing how you respond. And that gives you strength in a different way. Not control over everything, but control over your inner state. And in that space, you begin to recognize something important. You do not have to carry today into tomorrow. You do not have to solve everything before you rest. And you do not have to hold on to every thought in order to move forward. Because strength is not something you force. It is something you receive when you trust Jesus. And allow His presence to guide you and sustain you through everything that lies ahead. As you remain in this steady and quiet space, you begin to notice that your thoughts no longer have the same power over you that they once did. Earlier, every thought felt urgent. Every concern felt like something that needed your immediate attention. Every situation felt like something you had to solve right away. And that constant urgency is what created the pressure. That is what kept your mind moving without rest. That is what made everything feel heavier than it actually was. But right now, that urgency is no longer controlling you. You are not reacting to every thought that appears. You are not following every worry that enters your mind. You are not trying to fix everything at once. Instead, you are allowing your thoughts to pass. You are allowing your mind to slow. And you are allowing yourself to remain present without being pulled into everything that once felt overwhelming. And that is a powerful shift. Because when your thoughts are no longer controlling you, your emotions begin to settle. When your mind is no longer overloaded, your body begins to relax. And when you are no longer carrying everything at once, your entire state becomes lighter. And in this space, you begin to understand something deeper. You do not have to have answers for everything. in order to move forward. You do not have to control everything in order to feel peace, and you do not have to carry everything in order to continue. Because right now, your responsibility is not to solve your entire life. Your responsibility is to trust Jesus with what you cannot control. And as you stay in that awareness, something begins to shift inside you. Not something loud, but something steady. A quiet confidence, a grounded sense of strength that does not depend on everything being perfect, but on your willingness to trust Him in every step that you take. And that trust is what allows you to move forward, not with pressure, not with fear, but with peace. Because you are no longer trying to control the outcome. You are allowing Him to guide the process, and that changes everything. Because when Jesus is guiding you, you do not need to rush. You do not need to force. You do not need to figure everything out at once. You just need to take the next step with trust. And right now, that is exactly what you are doing. You are moving forward, not with everything solved, but with a strength that comes from knowing you are not walking alone. And now, as you reach this moment, take a slow breath and recognize what has changed inside you. Because when you first entered this space, your mind may have been full, your thoughts may have been heavy, your body may have been holding tension without you even realizing it. There may have been pressure, there may have been confusion, there may have been a quiet sense of exhaustion that followed you into this moment. But now something is different. Your breathing is slower, your thoughts are quieter, and your body is more relaxed in a way that feels natural, not forced, not because everything in your life has been solved, but because you have chosen to release what you cannot carry and to trust instead of trying to control everything. And that is where real strength begins, not in having all the answers, not in fixing every problem, but in allowing yourself to let go and trusting Jesus with what is beyond your understanding. And as you remain in this calm, allow yourself to fully settle into it. Do not try to change anything. Do not try to go back to what was pulling your attention earlier. Just remain here, breathing slowly, letting go completely. Because this moment is enough. This stillness is enough. And this peace is enough to carry you forward into whatever comes next. And as you prepare to move into your day, remember this. You do not have to carry everything with you. You do not have to solve everything right now. And you do not have to depend only on yourself. Because Jesus is with you. He is strengthening you. He is guiding you. And He is already working in ways you cannot yet see. And with that truth, you move forward, not with fear, not with pressure, but with peace. Because you are not alone, and you never have been. Amen. As you continue in this calm and grounded space, you begin to notice something that was always true, but you did not fully recognize it before. Strength is not something you receive once and carry forever. It is something that is renewed, moment by moment, as you stay connected to Jesus. Because there will be moments today where your energy drops. There will be situations that test your patience. There will be conversations that challenge your emotions. And in those moments, you may feel like your strength is fading. But that does not mean you are losing it. It means you are being invited to return, to pause, to reconnect, to remember that your strength does not come from you alone. And right now, you are learning how to do that. You are learning that strength is not about pushing through everything, but about staying connected, even when things feel difficult. And that changes how you move through your day. Because instead of forcing yourself to keep going, you begin to rely on something deeper. You begin to draw strength from His presence. You begin to recognize that even in the middle of your day, you can pause internally and return to this same calm. You can return to this same awareness. You can return to this same trust. And as you do that, your strength is renewed, not all at once, but in small, steady ways. Your mind settles again. Your breathing becomes steady again. And your focus becomes clear again. And that is what allows you to keep moving forward without becoming overwhelmed. Because you are no longer trying to carry everything at once. You are allowing yourself to move step by step, moment by moment, with a strength that is being renewed as you go. And that is the kind of strength that does not burn out, that does not collapse under pressure, that does not depend on perfect conditions. Because it is not based on your situation, it is based on your connection with Jesus. And as you continue to stay connected, you begin to understand something important. You are not meant to be strong by yourself. You are meant to be strengthened through Him. And that is what carries you through every moment of this day And as you move deeper into this awareness, a new kind of confidence begins to form inside you. Not loud confidence, not forced confidence, but something steady, something grounded, something real. Because this confidence is not coming from knowing everything. It is not coming from having control over every situation. It is not coming from having everything figured out. It is coming from knowing that you are not facing anything alone. And that changes how you see everything. Because even if you do not know what is ahead, you know who is with you. Even if you cannot predict every outcome, you trust the one who sees it all. And even if things do not go the way you expect, you remain steady. Because your confidence is not in the outcome. It is in Jesus. And that is what makes it strong. Because it is not shaken by circumstances. It is not broken by uncertainty. It is not weakened by delay. It remains steady because it is rooted in something deeper. And as you stay in that awareness, you begin to move through your day differently. You are not rushing. You are not forcing. You are not reacting to everything. Instead, you are moving with intention. You are responding with clarity. You are acting with peace. And that is what allows you to remain stable, even when things around you are not. Because your strength is not coming from your environment. It is coming from within. And that strength is being sustained by your trust in Jesus. And as you continue to move forward, you carry that with you, not as something temporary, but as something steady, something you can return to again and again throughout your day. Because this is not just a moment, this is something you can live in. A way of moving, a way of thinking, a way of trusting. And as you stay in that, you begin to realize something powerful. No matter what you face today, you are ready, not because you have everything under control, but because you are being strengthened in every step by Jesus, who is with you in everything. As you remain in this calm and steady space, you begin to understand something deeper than before. Strength is not about holding everything together. It is not about controlling every outcome. And it is not about proving that you can handle everything on your own. Because the truth is, you were never meant to carry everything alone. And the more you try to do that, the heavier everything becomes. You feel the pressure. You feel the weight. You feel the constant need to stay in control. But right now, you are no longer choosing that path. You are choosing something different. You are choosing to surrender, not as a sign of weakness, but as a step into something stronger. Because surrender is not giving up. It is giving over. It is releasing what you cannot carry and placing it into the hands of Jesus. And right now, that is exactly what you are doing. You are releasing the pressure to have everything figured out. You are releasing the need to control every situation. You are releasing the expectation that everything must make sense right now. And as you do that, something inside you begins to shift. The weight becomes lighter. The tension begins to fade. And your mind begins to settle in a way that feels real. Not forced, not temporary, but steady. And in that space, you begin to feel something deeper than relief. You begin to feel freedom. Freedom from overthinking. Freedom from pressure. Freedom from the constant need to hold everything together. And that freedom is where your strength becomes real. Not surface strength, not temporary strength, but deep strength that comes from knowing you are no longer carrying everything alone. And as you remain in that awareness, you begin to trust more. Not because everything is clear, but because you know who is in control. And that trust becomes the foundation of everything that follows. As you stay in this place of surrender, everything inside you begins to align. Your thoughts are no longer scattered. Your emotions are no longer overwhelming. Your body is no longer holding the same tension. And for the first time in a while, you feel steady. Not because everything around you has changed, but because everything inside you has shifted. And that is what creates real peace. Not external perfection, but internal alignment. And in this alignment, you begin to see things differently. What once felt urgent now feels manageable. What once felt heavy now feels lighter. What once felt confusing now feels clearer. And that clarity comes from letting go. Because when you stop trying to control everything, you create space. And in that space, peace begins to grow. Not something you force, but something that naturally appears when you release what you cannot carry. And as you remain in this peace, you begin to understand something powerful. You do not have to go back to the way things were. You do not have to return to the same patterns of stress, the same cycles of overthinking, the same pressure of trying to manage everything alone. Because now, you know a different way, a better way, a way that is not based on control, but on trust, a way that is not driven by pressure, but guided by peace. And as you carry this with you, you begin to move differently. You think differently, you respond differently, and you live differently. Because you are no longer trying to hold everything together. You are allowing Jesus to hold you steady, and that changes everything. And now, as you reach this final moment, take a slow, deep breath and recognize what has changed inside you. Because when you first entered this moment, your mind may have been full, your thoughts may have been heavy, your body may have been holding tension without you even realizing it. There may have been pressure, there may have been confusion, there may have been a quiet sense of exhaustion that you carried without fully understanding why. But now, something is different. Your breathing is slower, your thoughts are quieter, your body is more relaxed, and your mind is no longer trying to hold everything at once. Not because everything in your life has been solved, but because you have made a decision to release what you cannot carry, a decision to trust instead of trying to control everything, and a decision to allow Jesus to be your strength. And that is where everything changes. Because real strength is not about having all the answers. It is not about fixing every problem, and it is not about carrying everything by yourself. Real strength is found in trust. Trust that you are not alone. Trust that you are being guided. Trust that even when you cannot see it, something is already working on your behalf. And as you prepare to move into your day, remember this: you do not have to carry everything with you. You do not have to solve everything right now. And you do not have to depend only on yourself. Because Jesus is with you, He is strengthening you, He is guiding you, and He is already working in ways you cannot yet see. And with that truth, you move forward. Not with fear, not with pressure, but with peace. Because you are not alone, and you never have been, and you never will be. So step into this day with confidence. Step into this day with calm. Step into this day knowing that the strength you need is already within you, because He is with you. Amen.